G'day there folks, I'm Beanie and welcome to Beanie Draws. In this video, what I'm going to do is try and explain a little bit about making some backgrounds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rough in some bush, some trees and plants. Not going to be able to see that. Well, I'm doing it very lightly, so you might not really be able to see it much, but what I'm trying to do is trying to rough in a little bit of tree down here. It's going to be fairly dark because I want it to contrast with the bodies. And I may actually have this bottom part black. But I'm just roughing it in right now with pencil. So it gives us an idea of what we're going to be doing. Going to have a bit of a tree here. Might put in a bit of a background of a tree here. So I'll just rough that in. A little bit of background. And bit of some branches, so a bit of a wiggly line. I'm using a little bit of a source image from Jurassic World, but their backgrounds are fairly detailed, and I don't want it to be that detailed. I just want it to be the illusion of background. Oh, sorry, you didn't see any of that. I just drew these bits. I'm gonna have so the branch is going to be white with a with a black kind of background to it. That's going to transition into a black backing, and then the trees and bushes are going to be somewhat random, and I may have like maybe a vine here and there, see how it goes, but yeah. Also, what I'm going to do is I'm going to rough in some bit of grassy foliage as well, because I'm noticing in one shot of Jurassic World, after the Indominus Rex smashes the gyroscope, you can see a little bit of foliage on the ground, a little bit of bush foliage. So I'm just going to rough that in and have that as like, a bit of grass, a bit of bushland as a bit of a foreground thing, and then I'm going to have the background as well. And a lot of that is going to be black after that. And then we'll have, like, say, trees up around here, which will probably be black. Have the trees up there, which will probably be black, maybe. And then we'll have, like, bits of rendering there. Bit of tree here. The good thing about trees and branches are they're completely random, so they're pretty forgiving. I'm just gonna make them fairly random. I'm gonna try not to have them too. What's the word I'm trying to think of? Too planned. I did do a video which I don't know if it's out yet by the time this video is out, but I was doing a whole background for my Velociraptors running with Chris Pratt. That may be out by the time this video makes it out, or this may be out before then. Otherwise, yeah, hopefully this has kind of given you an idea so far that we've roughed in with pencil, bit of a jotted down idea. I think what we may as well do is go straight into it with pen. So much like with the rest of this image, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with a finer pen, drawing at some of these details. I'm going to try not to. Actually, you know what? I'm going to use my 0.1mm pen. That's a bit better. So I'm just going to draw in some foliage. I kind of messed up already up around there, but that's okay. that's going to be all grass. Maybe have a bit of thing there. Around here, actually, you'd think it'd be more black, but like the grassy bits, you'd think would be more black. Maybe I'll have some black bits, like so. Oh, like that. I've got a habit of cutting off the videos, unfortunately, from where, you know, the stuff is happening, but I'm trying to be mindful of that. I'm just thinking to myself whether I want the grass to be black or if I want the background to be black. What I'll do is I'll draw the trees. So, I mean, I'm using my pencil lines as a basis, but I'm just gonna rough in. Why I did that was I wanted to see if it's gonna work. Seems like it's probably going to, so I'm just gonna draw in some tree branches. Now, what I find is the key to having a good tree branch is, see how I've got that line there? What you want is, the trunk is always, for the most part, always bigger at the base than it is. It tapers out, so it gets thinner the further out to the branches it gets. So, I mean, you don't have to worry too much about how perfect the line is, but you just, you know, as long as it sort of gets narrower and narrower, and it's sort of parallel with that line, it will generally look good. So you just, you know, just randomly draw a squiggly line, and you draw another squiggly line that tapers in. And see how, like, it's like around there, I got it a little bit narrower, and then it came out. That's no biggie. You just work with that. The good thing about plants are they are organic. They are random, and you don't have to think too much about, you don't have to plan them too directly, unless of course you're working from actual nature and you're trying to do a photorealistic renditioning. So it doesn't matter if it's all, it can be random. It's just, you know, organic, and yeah, it can be fairly random. You don't have to plan too much, unless of course you're working from nature, which I was about to mention until my video got slightly interrupted. So yeah, unless you're working directly from a photographic image, or, you know, you're trying to do a landscape, and even then, unless the viewer is actually at that landscape while you're drawing it, in reality, no one is going to know if your tree looks exactly how it should look. Generally speaking, trees are fairly random, so if you get the general gist of a tree, it will look good. Trees are very forgiving to draw. I've learned over the time. I don't draw trees all that often unless I have to, like around here, but they're fairly forgiving. And yeah, no one's gonna know if that tree doesn't look exactly how you thought it would look. Dinosaurs and, you know, actual creatures and that, they're a little bit less forgiving if you mess up a little bit. But trees, branches, all that kind of stuff, it doesn't matter how, you know, like, you can just, what am I trying to say? Basically, just draw a tree in there. If it doesn't look how you want it to look, just do it anyway, because, you know, it's a tree, it's organic. I would say trees are unplanned, but unless, if you're a gardener or you believe in creationism or whatever, I'm going to continue on this bush. So I'm going to do some bushes around here. Think of a bush, if you really don't know how to draw a bush, think of a bush as an upside down cloud. You just, draw little semicircles and little rounded bumps. Pretty easy. And again, very, very, very forgiving. So just draw it, draw it randomly. Trees are kind of like, just little circles like this. I'm going to put a branch in there, draw the branch tapering out. See, I wanted that to be further out, but, doesn't really matter. Draw some branches. I kind of want one of my branches to be bigger, so I'm going to do them bigger. Tapering it out. And then, yeah, that's not a bad tree. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to render it in like that in the background. I might make it a little bit lighter up here, actually. Make it darker. I'm going to make it gradiating, I think. And by doing that, you just gradually have your lines getting closer together. So I've made it lighter there, and I'm making it darker up here. I'm actually going around here. Oh, it's only really that spike that's bothering me. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have a bit of a contrast, bit of a line, and then I can, have my darknesses getting dark. That probably didn't make any sense, but, not to worry. I'm just going to sketch in this bit of background. I think I like the idea of it gradiating, so I'm going to stick with that. So I'm drawing it in like so. I might actually, now that I like how that tree looks, I'm going to get my 0.8 millimeter, which is even thicker, and I'm just going to get that line even darker, like so. Like that. Might even bring the 0.8 in around here. Make it darker. And then when it gets about here, it's going to be quite dark. I don't know if I was actually planning it that way, but I just did it. So I'll do like around here. Making these lines a bit darker, seeing if that works the way I want it to. Now, what I was saying with trees and how they're organic, so they're very forgiving, that still rings true. However, I wanted my rendering to be fairly specific. Rendering is a little bit different to drawing the actual tree. More the background, to be honest, because I wasn't sure if I wanted. I might actually render that tree in a little bit, but yeah. I'm actually hoping I haven't put too much detail because I don't want the dinosaurs to get lost in the background. I'm trying to be careful of my contrast. So I'm just going to do some random shapes here. I'm moving my hand out of the way so I can, I'll draw a little bit, and then I'll take my hand away, see how it looks overall. That's okay, because I'm trying to balance that out with that. So I want that to look kind of like that. That is when, I guess you're planning your trees a bit, for balance. You don't want all your tree. You want a nice balance, unless you want a tree to only be there and nothing over there. But that's kind of just what I'm working with at the moment. I want the bush to be a bit like that. I want there to be a little bit of a bush there. foliage, I guess you could call it. Plan your foliage. My hand just blocked all of that, so I apologize. Making my trunks and that thick. Like so. I think this is coming along alright. Some bush things. Think of them as upside down basic birds. You know how you draw birds when you're a kid? Unless you are still a kid, in which case, how you draw them right now, maybe. I don't know. We all draw differently. I'm not going to, jump to conclusions. But I'm assuming that we've all drawn birds at some stage. And I've actually drawn my pterodactyls and geez, I'm tongue-tied now. Pteranodons and all that kind of stuff in that same kind of style. So what I'm going to do is I'm making my lines thicker and just kind of judging where I want some of these bits to be darker. Don't want it all to be too dark because I don't want to compete with the dinosaurs. I want it to balance it. So I think that's as dark as I'm going to actually make it. If I had made it black, pitch black, I think that may have actually would have been too much. So the more you draw, the more you figure out what's going to actually work. Because I was going to do the plants all black, but I think what I'm going to do is what I'm doing right now, and that's just lining a little bit of the bottom bit and using the half tone or cross hatching, this kind of toning as the rendering style. So I'm just going to see how that goes. I might not actually bother having it black, or maybe I'll have a little bit of black like this and then just kind of render it out a little bit. Again, I don't want to compete too much with the foreground. The background is supposed to complement the foreground. It's not supposed to compete with the foreground. But I think how it's looking now is looking good. And I'm going to try and keep this video to under half an hour. So a lot of the rest of this may be time-lapsed, just for the sake of, I've taught you the basic concepts, and then you can watch the rest of the video time-lapsed and get the picture of what, where the rest of the image is going to form. I'm putting a little bits of shading and shadowing around here, just so it looks like it's in the background, and also just so it's got that little bit of slight bit of a gradiating tone. I do this a lot in Photoshop at times. It's kind of hard to explain, really, but hopefully visually you can kind of see that I'm using lines to try and form gradients. This is when I just rough in little lines, just to give a little bit of a inclination of shading and such. That Ankylosaurus is meant to be looking up at the Indominus. I completely forgot about that before, so I'm drawing that in now. And then I might work in some of the background grass bits. You draw it horizontally, and that gives you a bit of a plane. It'll give you a bit of a three-dimensional plane vibe. So you draw them closer together, and then they get bigger the closer to the foreground you get. And I might give a bit of shadow there. Oh, you can't see any of that. There we go. Also, for people doing my tutorials and putting their uploads onto Instagram, you're fine to do that. That's obviously why I'm doing these videos. But what would be awesome is if you can either tag Bean Arts, BEANARTS, or use the hashtag Beanie Draws. Because I do occasionally search the hashtag Beanie Draws to see if anyone has actually done any of my tutorials and put them on Instagram or anywhere else for that matter. And yeah, I reckon that'd be a cool way for if you want to share your artwork of what for community wise, if you've done one of my tutorials and you want other people to see your results, use the hashtag Beanie Draws, and we can all check out what each other have done. A good community kind of sharing, and that way you can. I'll also be using the hashtag Beanie Draws for any Instagram photos I put up of previews. So this drawing right here is more than likely going to have that hashtag. You won't know that until this videos come out. But for future videos, if I'm working on something that is related to this YouTube channel, I will be using the hashtag Beanie Draws. So if you want to check out what I'm working on, and you haven't followed me yet, check out the hashtag Beanie Draws. Share your work using the hashtag Beanie Draws so we can see what you've done. And yeah, I'm just adding some extra little bits of line just to add final contrast, just to really make them stand out a bit more, using a 0.8 ink. I might refine this even more down the track, but I think pretty much this drawing is finally done. I think. Because I'm always refining sometimes. I'll be like, oh, actually, I want to just fix this up, or I just want to fix that up. Because I'm a tinkerer. I'm a perfectionist. So I'm always mucking around and adding little bits and pieces, but I'm going to try to hold back before I ruin this image. But anyway, we're at 29-minute mark. I think I'm going to call that the drawing. So this is what these videos are like when they are not time-lapsed. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video. I'll probably put a still want to make it a little bit darker there. Nah, I always add more, don't I? I really gotta stop doing that. But yeah, well, right. Just to sign off on this video, I do seem to add, like, I'll do my sign off and then I'll do another sign off when you see the final picture. But if I haven't added the final picture into this one, this video was purely about the background for the most part. 90% of it was about the background. So hopefully you've learned something about drawing backgrounds for your images. If you did learn something and you found this video enjoyable, share it around. Let me know what you thought. If there's other topics, dinosaur related, that may not actually be just about the dinosaurs, but something a little bit unrelated to dinosaurs, that something about your drawings. Like, I'm going to be doing something about three-dimensionalism, because I know some of you have wanted to know how to make 3D look a bit better. So I'll probably be covering that, but I thought doing a little video just on backgrounds could be interesting, and how to add them into your drawings. I'm just, like, as you can see, I'm just adding a little bit of darkness into my shading, just just little touch-ups, making it a little bit more refined in the darker edges and use my contrast. But yeah, let me know if there's anything you want me to cover. Other, I still don't mind getting requests to do dinosaurs. I will get to them eventually. But it's also good to, if you want to know about, trees, which I've just covered, but trees for an example, or if you want to know how to do clouds, or anything like that as well. The whole point of Beanie Draws is to teach you how to draw different things. So that's what I'm going to try and teach you. And that's why what I'll try to teach you in this video. Now, before I keep rambling on, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. If you did, give it a thumbs up, comment on what you thought, like I've already said, and yeah, subscribe if you haven't already done so. But for now, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Cheerio for now. So here's what the final image looks like, and this also marks the end of this video on how to draw the background, but also marks the end of what has turned out to be quite an epic long series. I think this is the 5th video now, so 5 parts. You've seen this go through the sketch stage, the final, well, the more refined drawing stage, the inking stage, and then the final background illustrating stage. So hopefully you've learnt a lot of things. I'm going to be having another series like this for the Chris Pratt riding his bike with the Velociraptors. So that will be the next epic long series. So that will probably be coming along over the next few weeks. And then I've got another one for a T-Rex that is going to be coming very soon. So hopefully you've enjoyed this epic long 5-part adventure that works out to be roughly 3 or 4 hours worth of watching me draw, listening to me talk. So hopefully I didn't bore you, hopefully I was entertaining, hopefully I taught you a few things. If I did, be sure to hit that subscribe button, be sure to hit that like button, be sure to comment, all that stuff. But yeah, until then, thanks for watching, thanks for enjoying this video, and I will see you in future series to come. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. This is Beanie signing out. Cheerio.